I almost think about like how my journey would look like if I had Opteo when I first started Google Ads. Because the way I was doing it, it's so wild that there's software now to help facilitate beginner, user-friendly interfaces.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the PPC Cave with me, Ryan Fenton, Gene Villanos, and our very first guest. Very warm welcome to Shaquira from Opteo. Very happy to have her. And in this episode, we're pretty much going to get into the bones, the meat and bones, the meat and potatoes of what Opteo is, what it's all about. We are the new sponsors. I still think we're the new sponsors, unless you guys have hired anyone else to partner with. No, still fresh, brand new sponsors of Opteo. So yeah, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of everything that Opteo has to offer. And yeah, Gene, Shaquira, welcome.
Thank you very
What's
much.
up?
Yeah,
How's
how's
it-
things been,
how's-
guys?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm super excited here. We're talking about it earlier. It's 9 a.m. over here in the US, but it's basically end of the day over there in the UK. So I feel like I'm a little outnumbered, but I think it's going to be a great episode.
We'll carry you
Yeah.
in this one, buddy. Don't worry. It's all good.
Cheers.
Shaquira, nice warm welcome for you. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm doing very well. As Gene said, I'm wrapping up for the day slowly but surely. It's calling from a very unusually sunny London, or warm London. So
I know.
good
Tell
moods
me
all
about
around.
it.
Yeah.
It's been awful over here as well. So I can only imagine it's like really muggy and hazy in London at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of always is in London. There's like a general grey fog every day. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst. But hey ho, we kick on, and I think we should just jump straight into it, really, and
Do
start
it.
talking about what we all know, sort of. Maybe some more so than others, but Shaquira, why don't you just kind of start off by just talking about who you are and what your role is at Opteo and how long you've been there.
Yeah, for sure. So, yep, my name's Shaquira. I have been at Opteo for over 6 years. We're coming up to 7, which is making me feel a little old these days. But thank you very much. So yeah, I've been here for 6 years, and I kind of sit on the growth and customer side of the business, which essentially, in practice, means I kind of chat with PPC people all day. Mainly, from we're a tech company, so I'm coming at it from a tech provider angle, but mainly chatting about their problems, their pains, like kind of like a therapist, I guess, and trying to come up with ways to solve their problems or at least soothe them. So that's kind of what I do, or what I have been doing. But I mean, to be honest, when I started all those years ago, I didn't even know what PPC was. I was like, cool. I was fresh out of uni. I was like, this looks fun. Now, yeah, I learned very quickly what it means and yeah, how much fun it is to dive into Google Ads every day.
That's really cool. I don't think you get paid enough if you're like a therapist for PPC managers, so you definitely need a pay rise for that one.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll share that back with my boss.
Absolutely. But yeah, tell us about what Opteo is, because I'm sure there's people watching this. I'm sure there's people listening in that don't actually know what Opteo is. I mean, we hear about it all the time from, as you say, many different PPC managers and Google Ads people. But what is Opteo?
Okay, so in short, Opteo is a PPC optimization platform. So I think our core job is helping PPC managers get better results from their campaigns while kind of spending less time buried in the grudgy kind of day-to-day admin that is required in Google Ads. So that's kind of our core mission. And the number one way we do that throughout our features or recurring theme is trying to find wasted ad spend in Google Ads, trying to uncover it and come up with ways to get rid of it and fix it, essentially. But we have a lot of features. We have optimization, we have alerts, we have budget management, we have reports, we have auditing, we have power tools. There's a lot going on. But yeah, Google Ads is our bread and butter.
That's really cool.
For now.
I think that's
For now.
for now, yeah. Wink, wink. I think that's one of the best things that Opteo does, from what I see, is that you guys are very clear and open and transparent about the wasted ad spend opportunities, because I'm a big advocate for that. I think that's something that a lot of business owners, a lot of Google Ads account managers don't really pick up on. Is it's okay, changing bidding strategies here and there, looking at new campaign types, whether it's cost per acquisitions and return on ad spends, but actually, where are we wasting money specifically in like the search terms report? What negative keywords are we adding on or not adding? And I think Opteo just is so like gold for that. Like it gives you so many opportunities to say, hey, you're wasting X amount here. Have a deep dive, take a look at this. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Gene, did you have any quick comments you want to
Yeah,
share?
I have a lot of comments.
Bring them on.
But well, so first to preface this whole conversation, me and Ryan know each other because of a sponsor that Opteo has had. I don't want to name the person, but if you're in the space, you probably know who they are. So just to preface all of this, me and Ryan take very, very seriously how we manage clients, just because we treat their budget spend like as it was our own, So I think the genesis of me and Ryan's relationship essentially is basically through Opteo because of the podcaster that we used to listen to, or still listen to. So I just wanted to preface that. But the topics that we're going to go over today, as Shaquira and Ryan explained, finding wasted ad spend, I think that is going to be the meat, or just the main that we're going to really focus on, just because as a Google Ads manager, PPC manager, if you have budget that's not being appropriated to return on ad spend or conversions or CPA, you're not going to be a PPC manager for long. So I think it's really, really important for us to just really hammer in, even though we have a lot of features that we want to explain with Opteo, the most applicable, I would, say, is definitely finding that wasted ad spend, being able to maybe figure out, okay, is this budget going here? Is it going to conversions? Where is it actually going to? And if we see a red flag pop up where it's emerging or trending to it just being a detriment to the account, can we cap that cycle and say, okay, within a week, if it's still the same, let's just get rid of this? Or if it's within a month, we've already tracked this, it's not getting any better, let's pause this campaign. So fixing or finding wasted spend, fixing the account in general, I think that goes hand in hand. Of course, we'll discuss more of the new features, AI, and upcoming multi-platform tools. But yeah, moving on to the next point, if you want to take that, Ryan, discussing more about what is Opteo.
Absolutely. I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate here and just be a bit of the beginner guy for people that are listening in that don't really know Opteo. I've never used it. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this. We've got an extended trial offer as well that we'll kind of talk about at the end of the show. But, we've already touched on a little bit about what Opteo is and who it serves and things like that. But, I mean, is it more for freelancers? Is it more for agencies, in-house teams? Is it everybody, or is it a certain type of advertiser, would you say?
It's all three, all of the above, if I can say that. I think back in the day when when Opteo was first built in its first iteration, it was actually designed for freelancers. I think my CEO and his best mate, our CTO, were hanging around in threads, maybe Reddit threads, and they were like, wow, there's like some problems to be solved here. And he himself was managing his own clients freelance. So yeah, he got his mate to build him a couple of things to make it faster, and that spiraled into what is now Opteo. So yeah, that was very much back in the day, but it's kind of snowballed from there. Obviously, freelancers and agencies have a lot of similar problems. You're all juggling clients, freelancers by themselves. Agencies have a bigger operation to try and make profitable. And then in-house advertisers also stand to benefit from Opteo in slightly a different way. We found over the years that if you're managing ads for a brand, maybe it's 1, 2, 3 Google Ads accounts, there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that the ad budget you've been given is spent efficiently. Like, you're probably under huge amounts of pressure to be like, cool, we're giving you this budget, like I need to see results, and you go and spend half of it on something that, you know, was essentially a waste. So they've got to be on the ball with proving, you know, that they are spending it efficiently. So yeah, we serve all three in slightly different ways.
That's really cool. And I think what I've seen of the, can I say it, the new system? I don't know if I can really drop that in. I'm not
Go
sure.
ahead. My product team will kill me, but go ahead.
Hopefully nobody's going to watch this. No, hopefully everybody will watch it. But the main point is that what I've seen is that it accustoms more to that team integration. I think, I know at the moment the current platform has that and it's really good, but I think basically everything I've seen on the new system takes it to the next level, whether it's the optimization recommendations, where it's that team kind of infrastructure. It just looks like it's kind of becoming a kind of like a center point for Google Ads. So this is obviously kind of going on to the next question is, how does it differ from, say, Google Ads' own like platform and software and recommendations versus what you can do inside Opteo? Like, what's the difference? Why should somebody say, hey, let me just go to Opteo rather than go straight into Google Ads?
Yeah, well, I would say there's a huge benefit to using a third party, whether that is a human being or a tool or both, to just kind of check Google's homework. Essentially, Google can get quite creative with, you know, how they spend your budget and the data they show you, how they package that up, and also, you know, they have their own recommendations, and I always say take those with a pinch of salt, because ultimately they've got some inventory to sell. Some of it's not great, and they kind of win when advertisers spend more. So that's where their starting point is. But tools like Opteo, well, you know, not just Opteo, just talking broadly about any kind of, you know, independent tool, their agenda is a lot different. Like, these tools are only a success if we make accounts more efficient. So, you know, spending more isn't necessarily the goal. It's sometimes, can we help you spend less and prove that, you know, those are savings that would have otherwise be wasted. So there's a huge, you know, benefit to going and having a look at an independent tool. And yeah, I guess that is the core one. It's like, you're never going to get a recommendation in Google telling you to pause a keyword or you know, make the account smaller in any way. But yeah, essentially, I think there's a huge benefit to jumping into another platform, not just Google, not just relying on what Google show you, because sometimes that can be a bit of blind faith, I think.
That's a good point. And I don't know for our American listeners if you guys say pinch of salt. I mean, do you guys say err on the side of caution, or?
Yeah, we
You got
say
both?
yeah,
You
we
say
say
both?
pinch of. I think so.
Yeah.
Err in the side of caution. Take it with
Yeah.
a grain of salt. I think that's kind of
Great,
Yeah,
that's the
that's it.
one.
There
I
you
was
go.
trying to figure it and place it, but yeah, I wasn't sure.
Little
Cool.
grain.
No, that sounds really good. Cool. Okay. I don't know if you want to get into a little bit more in terms of what wasted ad spend actually means. You know, I mean, obviously, it could mean irrelevant search terms. It could mean negative keywords. Sorry, I know there's a lot of stuff which we're going to get into in terms of like the root negatives and things like that. So, like, what can Opteo do to save us some money? I mean, if I'm a business owner, right, and I've got like 20 grand a month I'm spending on ads, like, this is music to my ears. It's like, oh my God, where can I save money? Because I might not know. I mean, there's some silly settings in Google where it's like you can advertise to everybody in the world, presence or interest location settings, right? Just turning that one off. But I think Opteo takes it one step further, and it's like, look at this specific keyword, look at the traffic it's bringing through. Is this relevant to you? And you may not have noticed, but then it could also be things. I mean, I'm going off on a tangent here, but it could also mean things like, you know, look at this keyword. This is giving you such a really good return. Consider adding it as like a phrase and exact. So yeah, like, how can it show you what wasted ad spend you could be saving on, and what does it really mean, I guess?
Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
I mean, wasted ad spend is money going out that was never going to realistically convert or turn into customers. And Google get very, very creative with how they can spend your budget sometimes. Like I said before, they have a lot of inventory. Some of it's not great. They need to sell it. And so they will, you know, try and sell it if they can. there's loads of common ways they do it, but actually one kind of fun way we've been exploring recently at Opteo is around CPCs. We've been doing some quite heavy data research into just how high the cost of a click can get. And I mean, we've now got an exercise where we can get an account and we can do some fancy numbery stuff, and actually find out that, just how high a click could get. Because in the Google Ads dashboard, you're always looking at averages. And this is kind of another way things aren't always as they seem. You're always looking at averages. You're always looking at your average CPC. And the average CPC might be fine, right? It might be like $5, and you might be like, okay, that's fine, I can stomach that. When you zoom in, within that $5, it could be a click that costs you like 100, and you'd never be able to stomach that. I mean, we've seen some clicks get into the thousands.
Wow.
Which is a point where they're not even worth like the value of the sale anymore. Like, even if that led to a conversion, you've just lost money from it. And that happens. That's a real thing that happens. And the only way to really solve that is, if you're using smart bidding, you've got to make a portfolio bidding strategy. You've got to add a target, which will then unlock a setting where you can stick a max CPC bid in. And it's all really tucked away. It's really buried away. It's not easy for beginners or someone new to this to stumble upon. So these are the people that are getting caught out by these, these crazy ways that budget can just be blown, essentially. So wasted ad spend is certainly a problem. But yeah, some of the more, I guess, common examples of wasted ad spend that most PPC practitioners can relate to would be things, like irrelevant search terms are a classic one. Everyone knows you can get a lot of bad stuff in lieu of another word through the account. Just like stuff that's in no way relevant to your business, but here you are, you're showing ads for it, you're getting clicks on it, you're wasting budget on it. Another one is placements and demographics. That's a big one. Demographics, I think more people are more aware of. You kind of, if you work with clients as well, they kind of know they want to serve a certain audience, fine. But do they know that they are, accidentally blowing budget on tablet, like kids clicking on their ads, and just how much they're spending on tablets? Sometimes it reaches the point where it's no longer, even worth serving ads on tablets, and they should exclude them. Same for placements. You can show off in crazy, crazy places, weird corners of the internet, weird YouTube channels, weird websites, mobile apps, obviously. Like even Gmail placements, they don't suit every business. There's loads of ways that Google can waste your budget. And then another one is sneaky settings. Ryan touched on it earlier. You've got, locations of interest. Why am I showing ads to someone who isn't in the place I actually, send products to? Search partner sites is usually a pretty standard one. You don't want to accidentally show off on those. A new one that I've been coming across recently is the broad match only setting. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah.
I see it. People are like, hey, I tried adding this keyword in Opteo. I couldn't. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go check the logs. What's the error? It's like, yep, you've got this switched on. I go back to them. They have no idea it existed. And yeah, they obviously don't just want to have broad match running riot in a new campaign. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that waste can happen.
This is a really good point, because I don't think most of us would typically go and think, hey, let's just check this gender, or let's just check this age rating, or let's check these placements and things like that. Typically, I think, at least what I do, I can't speak for Gene, but for me, it is mostly about what are the keywords we're bidding on, what are the search terms we're getting, what is the bidding strategy that we're on, are we doing all of those things to really give us a good return and, or lower that cost per acquisition while still maintaining conversion volume. But going out for those sneaky settings, like you say, or those different placements, I don't think it typically comes natural to us until you are served it in front of your screen, like in Opteo. It's like, hey, you're spending all this money on, say, this demographic. It's not giving you a return. Exclude it, pause it, save some money that way. So I just thought That was really, really interesting to see. And £1,000 on a click. Like, I don't believe that. I think you're lying on that one. I'm going to have to see the data on that. 1,000, seriously, 1,000?
That's crazy.
It's
That is crazy, right?
in the new version of the app. I think we're going to put it front and center. So in a few weeks, maybe a month, you guys can hopefully see it for yourselves in your own accounts. How much you paid for a single click.
Yeah, you're not going to see 1,000 click in my accounts. Bang, you know. Hopefully,
Well, just real quick, aside from that $1,000 per click, what is kind of just humanize the product, right? Because you are around so many different clients and accounts. Aside from that, what is probably the most surprising thing you've seen from, like, without naming the client, or getting too specific, what is like maybe like the most surprising thing you've seen that Opteo has maybe caught or helped within an account? Not to put you on the spot. I know that's a little yeah.
No, it's all good. I'm trying to pick from many things. I mean, there's a few things, and I was going to touch on some of these features later, hopefully. But just to call one out in particular, there's an audit we do called search term alignment, and it's like Google Ads 101. It's like you've got your search terms, you're taking them to an ad, you're taking them to a landing page. How well aligned are those three things? How's the user journey? And we have seen it in accounts where, there's like a really crucial word to the business that's missing from the landing page. And you're looking at it and you're like, wow, yeah, like I don't have this word on my landing page, but I've built an ad group about it. I've spent hours writing ad copy for it. And then I'm taking them somewhere where obviously they're bouncing, the click-through rates, the bounce rate's dreadful, not getting conversions, money down the drain essentially. And that happens literally all the time. There's so many little golden nuggets where people have missed a trick in one of those three things.
That's so interesting.
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, cool. I think we should stop talking and start showing. I don't know who's going to share a screen, but I think it'd be really cool to have a little bit of a deep dive into the system, maybe share some quick wins that like a beginner could kind of see as soon as they log in, like how easy it is to kind of be served that information up front. So I don't know if Shaquira or Gene, I don't know.
Shaquira, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead and share your screen, and you could kind of take over, and we could both ask questions. But yeah, I think that would be,
of course,
good value.
One thing I want to say, I think it still is the case. If you do decide, hey, I want to give Opteo a go, most of the time Shaquira is going to be the face of the company, I think, and you'll have your onboarding call with her. It could have changed, I'm not sure, but I had my onboarding call again a week ago or so, just to kind of refresh my memory. And what was really cool is that you showed me that money saved feature. I can't find it. I've tried looking for it again, and I loved it, but I can't find it. So if you can show me that feature, I would love it.
1000%. So yeah, I wanted to show a couple of, I guess, a couple of the features that are primarily focused on cutting out wasted ad spend. So I've got some examples in here. All the data is kind of faked in here, and I've blurred out all the actual campaign names and whatnot. But yeah, this is the improvements page. So quick kind of summary. Every single day, Opteo is analyzing your data, it's crunching the numbers, it's looking for problems, it's finding those problems, and it is surfacing those problems. And it's also coming up with a suggested fix for it. So it's like, this is a problem, reasonably, this we think should fix that problem. And in one click, you can fix it. So that's what we're looking at right now. And a couple of the ones I wanted to show you specifically focused on wasted ad spend around exclusions. This is a really big thing for Opteo, and it's happened over time. I've been at Opteo for 6 years. I've seen the landscape of Google Ads change tremendously over those 6 years, and exclusions have become one of those like tools in a Google Ads manager's pocket that really prevents wasted ad spend. So here we've got an exclude age demographic improvement. So Opteo's analyzed my data, and it's kind of found within an ad group of mine. So it's really going granular here. It's found a specific ad group where searches that are 65 and over are really underperforming. So there's a lot of ad spend to hopefully recover here. And I can see the data laid out in front of me, which is great. I can see clearly this is the problem demographic. And then I can see like top level statistics. So, Opteo is painting the picture for me here. My ROAS isn't very good. It's 70% compared to 223. So this is like a problem I need to address. And yeah, for me to apply this, I just hit a green button and off it goes to Google Ads like magic.
I think we need to pause right there because, I mean, Gene's laughing, but this is the thing, right? How many screens in Google Ads do you have to go to just get into like demographics of ages and things like that? Like 3-4 screens maybe, but here I think Shaquira has done like 3 clicks, which is she's logged into the account. She's been served all of these different recommendations and improvements. She's opened the improvement and then hit apply, apply exclusion or whatever it might have been. And that's how easy it is, whereas, and what I like with Opteo is it breaks it down in a more easy to digest way. When you're in Google Ads, because you've got so many different client accounts that you manage and you're in and out the other ones, and we're just looking at data, and like Shaquira mentioned earlier, averages all the time, data, it can get kind of like information overload. So I think coming into something that's new and fresh like Opteo, it's like, wow, okay, this is just a different way of presenting that information. And here it is laid out in front of me. I can see it in different colors, and I can just open this improvement and just effortlessly, apply exclusion or add this keyword, ding, kind of done. It's just so simple. So I just kind of wanted to make that apparent that it's just really, really nice and easy on the eye.
Yeah, and for freelance marketers or advertisers, PPC managers, this is so crucial just because, as Ryan spoke about, we get data fatigue all the time. And when we're fatigued with data, you almost feel stuck, where you're like, man, I don't want to face that account. I don't want to look at it just because I know I haven't looked at it in so long. I know there's going to be so many issues and I'm not going to know where to start. Right. And I think Google as a platform has tried to maybe input auto apply recommendations. I feel like if you find fatigue and you don't have Opteo, you would go through auto apply or just the recommendations, which is a dangerous slope, just because, as Shaquira spoke about earlier, Google has different goals and Opteo has different goals. And I think just the way that it pops up in the improvements, as Ryan mentioned, you do have to go to so many different screens. And then you're like, okay, where do I even go? And if you were very used to the old interface of Google, maybe you're still transitioning and try to remember the new interface of Google. All of these things could just really help or not help, just basically throw you off your game. And maybe you don't even want to go into the account anymore and do any optimizations because you can't even find it. So just having it here, I think is almost half the battle, because as a PPC manager, you want to expend all your focus on the analysis and, just to make that easier. I think it really just facilitates optimization in a different, better way with Opteo. So just wanted to throw that in.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I think before we get into the nuts and bolts of what, this is top level stuff almost, you could say, which is crazy to think because, it's given us so many improvements already, but that's just a surface level scratching of what Opteo can do. So I think before we really get into some of the really cool stuff as well, can you show me where the money saved feature is? Because I forgot. I tried finding it the other day and I'm like, how did she show me?
Here we go. So it should be just bottom left in the impact stats.
Oh my God. I'm so silly.
If it's not there, something's wrong and we'll get it fixed ASAP, but it should be here. So this is how we have figured out a way to, determine how valuable Opteo is for a particular user. You get asked that a lot in tech. Obviously, you need to prove the ROI. 2 ways we do that. Obviously, time saving. You guys just touched on it, but sitting down at your laptop and being like, I don't know where to start, what to do. Google Ads is full of really drudgy, grindy work that I think depletes a lot of your energy in both time and mind space. And half of that is worrying. I feel like it's like this low level anxiety that something's on fire and you don't know where. So yeah, one of the ways we track value is time, but also cost saving. Obviously, coming back to wasted ad spend. Whenever you make an action in Opteo, and it's related to, wasted ad spend that we've helped recover, whether it is, excluding locations, pausing an underperforming keyword, automatically pausing spend if your account runs out of the budget you've set. All of this stuff, we kind of pile it up and we say, hey, this is how much you potentially would have wasted had you let these things continue to run riot on your account. And as you can see, I think wasted ad spend isn't, this big dramatic thing that happens once. It's like it slowly piles up and up and up, and the number gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it can get quite shocking at how high it can get sometimes.
This is so good, because I think there's another level here of, if you're in-house and if you are managing the Google Ads account for your company and you've got your boss, kind of saying, well, how much are we saving here? I mean, we're spending all this money on Opteo each month. Are we actually making any, like, this literally can justify everything. Like, look how much we've saved. Like, look how much, like, Mr. Bossman, like, my time has been saved, so I can focus on other areas, Facebook ads, or, maybe it's like, SEO kind of stuff that I'm more able to do now because Opteo has saved me, like, you could say 535 hours of time, so all you need to do is present this to the boss and say, look, this is like the cold hard facts. This is the data. We've saved this much. This is how much of my job and my hours I've saved as well. Like, this is a no. I think this should be literally more front and center inside the account in Opteo, because this is golden stuff. I think it's one of the most underrated things in Opteo, in my opinion. Gene, have you seen this before? Have you?
No, I have not seen that.
No?
And I tried to,
good.
I tried to look, and maybe we could figure it out later after the call. But yeah, this should be front and center, and there should be like a live ticker where it's like 15,100, 15,400. Just kidding.
That'd be really good.
No, I haven't seen this.
Yeah. I think when I had my call with Ryan, we did joke about hearing a cha-ching sound every time you make a change in Opteo.
You're gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm still pushing for it.
Yeah,
I love that.
If you can get your CEO or CTO and the devs to watch this, then definitely have that cha-ching or that little, that it'd be so good to have. Just like, it almost, like, because Google Ads is so serious as a platform, this almost gamifies it to a degree, because then it spurs you on to, like, hey, how much more can I save just to hear that little dopamine cha-ching, right? So it could help, if anything, make more changes and saves in terms of wasted ad spend and things like that. I think it'd be a great idea. So I'm not taking credit for it. You told me about it, Shaquira. You came up with it. So I hope that gets pushed through on the next update.
That's all right. I've submitted the feature request under your name.
There you go. All right. Okay.
Give him the credit.
I'll take the royalties. That's great. Cool. All right. Well, listen, I'm gonna shut up for a little bit. I'll let you two kind of talk a little bit more technical about, like, scorecard, engrams, and things like that. I'm just gonna watch the show, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, so the reason why I like Opteo is, it just gives me a little bit of the bigger toolbox to use with Google Ads. If you're a subscriber to the PPC Cave, you kind of understand the dynamic that me and Ryan have before when it comes to, PMax and manual versus automation. And I think that's a struggle for almost any PPC manager. It's like, okay, do I want more control over search terms where I know I'm building a foundation and long term I'm understanding where the traffic is because I see all the search terms and it's transparent? Or do I want to keep the client or keep my boss happy right now, but just switching on Performance Max and not really understanding the transparency of the search terms, but I'm getting the results right now and it's more short term. So I think being able to bounce back and forth, the way that I've kind of introduced Opteo with how I'm using freelancing or doing freelancing for my clients is it really basically provides more initiative and you're less scared to run more manual campaigns, just because, manual campaigns, as we know, is just so, at this day and age, any search term that you have to vet it just because there's all the phrase, exact, broad, all of that means differently now than it meant in 2018 or 2019. So understanding manual campaigns, and I think we'll talk about this later, just the engrams, I think is one of the most beneficial tool. How do you kind of see that fitting in with what I'm talking about with engrams and just people using more manual campaigns and maybe even having a little more bandwidth to trust broad, just because you don't have to be in Google Ads interface all the time? You have something like Opteo that could kind of put it in bite-sized optimization so that you do have eyes on your new campaigns that you're running.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, with like, you know, over the years, I remember when like manual bidding was like king, and smart bidding came and it totally wiped it out. And we're seeing it again with PMAX, you know, AI, everything's shrinking, controls being lost. But there is this hunger and desire to like not have that happen. People want to see and control, and be able to tweak. And yeah, it's easy to stick, you know, an AI campaign on and let it run riot. But, you know, that's, you know, you're going to run into problems. And that is, like you say, where a tool like Opteo could help, because you get to kind of play with these AI tools, these new things in Google with some insurance. You're like, cool, I've got something, like I've got a third party, it's independent, and that's my guardrails for me to test. Because if things go crazy, then I know this thing's going to catch it. A really great example of that, I'll see if I've got an example here, is we have some alerts, and we'll use this one for an example, but we have some alerts. So Opteo pings you by email, maybe by Slack if you use it, if there's unusual KPI fluctuations in clicks, in cost, in impressions. And we also do that at the campaign level. So over time, we've seen a ton of these fire for PMAX campaigns. Like, cool, I'll let my PMAX do its thing. And then you get an alert from Opteo. Okay, unexpected cost increase. The graph is like off the charts. You go in, you're like, yeah, it's my PMAX campaign. We tell you which campaign's responsible. And yeah, that's, you know, you let it do its thing, but at least you had some insurance and you could catch it before you blow your whole budget on playing around with AI.
Yeah, for sure. And do you have an example of, I was going to share my screen, but you already have yours up. So let's just have yours. But do you have an example of maybe the Google Ads scorecard on your screen? And for me, the Google Ads scorecard, as Shaquira pulls that up, is so vital. We talked about earlier how it's so difficult to have all this data in aggregate. Okay, guys, what I would do back then, if I need to look at multiple things, I would literally have 5 or 6 different windows up of the same account. But here, it's literally just all in one scorecard, and it'll tell you the overall score. It could tell you what you need to integrate. Maybe like you don't even have your search console integrated with a specific client, you know, or YouTube or your Google business profile. And it'll show you the tracking, any disapprovals. My thing that I like with the scorecard also is just how it could break down not only the campaign spend or the summary all in one little, you know, page, but also where, if you're running PMAX, as me and Shaquira are talking about, where is it showing? You know, what platform is it showing the most on? You know, shopping, display, video, other, you know, not to mention the search term alignment, as Shaquira mentioned earlier. You guys, we understand that we want to have all the craziest hacks on Google Ads, but some of the time the work has to be done outside of the Google Ads, aka your landing page or your product page. And if you don't have that search term that you're bidding crazy on, you know, make sure that you know, have that on the landing page, or else that search term alignment is definitely going to alert you and tell you about that. But so, yeah, Shaquira, like, what are some of these, I guess, sections in the Google Ads scorecard that's just the most applicable to an everyday freelancer, in-house person?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. So I'll go ahead and generate one. So click the button, and now Opteo is doing an audit of my Google Ads account. Should take a couple seconds usually, and I get this like nice white labeled report. It's great. I mean, if you're like, you know, coming into this new and you are literally just trying to get bird's eye view, like how healthy is this account? And particularly for agencies, freelancers who are prospecting, trying to win a new client, it's a balancing act, because you're like, oh, I got to pour this work into auditing I don't know if it's going to result in a new client, then that's like time and money lost. So, typically I see people using this, for that reason, because you get this nice bird's eye view. So you've got this like, overall health score. Okay, this account is strong here. That's nice to know. This is where it's weak. So these are like, maybe my focus areas. If I really want to start from the bottom and fix this account up and get it squeaky clean, I'd maybe start with, quality score as an area of pure focus. But with this scorecard, I mean, we're going from top to bottom. So we're starting with the fundamentals, like you said, and we're kind of working up to more advanced stuff. So I guess for like everyday PPC managers, that's kind of how I would encourage them to use it, right? I would say if you're scrolling through this audit, and I'll just give you like an idea of, how far you can scroll, and you're seeing quite a few red areas and you're like, I'm back to square one. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I'm stressed. Everything's on fire. Then I would start with the first scorecard that is red. Like, if your conversion tracking isn't working, is something off with it, that is like the number one place you should start. If that's broken, the rest of the scorecard will be broken, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for everyday PPC managers, it's kind of how I would approach doing or using an audit like this. And then, yeah, you can get into heavier duty stuff. Maybe we could chat about, things like search term alignment a little later, or we could talk about it now. But there's a lot going on.
Yeah, let's talk about search term alignment, just because, me and Ryan are both new to this. So backstory on me, I've used Opteo here and there. What I'm trying to use this for is to scale my agency. I cannot look at, the data all the time, pull up analytics, pull up all these dashboards, create Looker Studio data tables. I don't have time for that. I want to scale, but I cannot scale if I don't have someone else looking onto my accounts, so if you have an alternative, to scaling, maybe hiring somebody, this is the perfect alternative, just because it's almost like a second pair of eyes on all your accounts, and even if you want to soft launch somebody to onboard onto your team as another freelancer, I think this is super important for them to not touch the Google Ads account immediately, just because, there's a lot of risk there. This is almost them soft launching into your organization if you're looking to hire in the future. So this is a great tool. But yeah, I'm just curious on what you have to talk about in regards to search term alignment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is one of my favorite new features in Opteo. In fact, I think we're going to take it out of this audit and make it like a standalone tool, because there's a lot to do with this, and it's all good stuff. But like I said earlier, this is Google Ads 101. This is, do your search terms match your ad copy, match your landing page copy? How's that user journey going, and how aligned it is? So if you look at the Venn diagram, I mean, this one looks okay because it's all pretty even, but it's not all, it needs to be like all squished together in the middle, and it's not. That means there's some misalignment going on here, and it kind of tells you where the worst area is. So I'm like, cool, okay, Opteo is telling me that my landing page copy and my search terms aren't aligned. What does that mean? Well, it means that people are using words in their search queries, and they're eventually ending up on a landing page where those words do not appear. So, for whatever reason, they are, well, the ad copy might be great. They might be like, cool, this ad says exactly what I need it to say, but we're taking them to a landing page where it's just not clear that you sell what they're looking for. And that's catastrophic if you do sell what they're looking for. That's like, you're missing potential conversions because you're missing words. And it sounds silly when you say it out loud, but it happens all the time. So, finding out which misalignment is worse is fine. But this is one of those audits where you're like, I need to go further. What do I actually do to fix this? Like, give me the tools to actually remedy this. And so this is where more, I guess, advanced users will utilize these campaign breakdown buttons, download analysis, dive into the data. So, if I click this, I can go campaign by campaign. I can download an analysis. So it's going to give me like a nice CSV. And I'll see if I can grab a quick CSV for you guys.
This is so good.
Nice.
It's just always interesting for me because, you don't really have this again in Google. They don't say, hey, this is why X is happening. it'll allude to it. Perhaps it might say, oh, you need to increase, your quality score or something like that. But as we know, quality score can be a bit of a black box. Whereas I feel like, Opteo is kind of bridging that gap a little bit and saying, okay, this is where the misalignment is. Focus on this area to potentially increase quality score. And then obviously what happens with quality score, more quality traffic, reduce CPCs, all the good stuff.
Exactly. It's Google Ads 101.
There you
That's what I
go.
said. Going back to basics here. But yeah, so this is kind of what the report looks like. So, again, just to kind of hit that point home, I clicked a few buttons and now I'm here and I've got this breakdown of, Opteo's done an n-gram analysis of my search terms. And it's found like all of my search terms, and it's been like, cool, the word hour seems to appear in a lot of them. People looking for 24-hour plumbers, interesting. And then I can see, oops, the word hour is not in this RSA. Well, I'd grab that ID, I'd stick it into Google Ads and I'd find the RSA, and lo and behold, I'd see that the word hour isn't in there. So there's like a disconnect there along the journey. And for me, if I do offer 24-hour plumbing, it needs to be in the ad. Otherwise, something's not right. Why is the word hour routing to this ad group in this ad? It's not necessarily that you just need to add the word then and there, but it's a signal. There's a disconnect and you need to fix it. And we're trying to give you the data and the tools to kickstart it. And that's kind of what Scorecard is for. It's not quite optimization, it's auditing, and it's trying to get the solution going. But ultimately, there's going to be work that Google Ads managers have to take the reins on, which is good because we need Google Ads managers to take the reins because they know the account better than anyone, better than software, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great point. One thing that I do want to tell a story of is the product performance within this scorecard. And if you run a lot of e-commerce, you run a lot of Performance Max, you're gonna come across things that you need to fix in Merchant Center. That's just something that's super important. But one thing that I was looking at the other day that led me, to kind of like look into the Merchant Center was if you go into product performance, you could see the campaign breakdown. It'll show you all the product names that you have, if it's a top converter, the return on ad spend. And I have a client that got on a popular TV show and they want to put what TV show that they were on. Of course, shout out to my client. We're really cool. So I'm sure they don't care about me telling y'all this, but they wanted to put what TV show they were on the actual Shopify main image. And we all know if you do that, and even if you're performing well, you're going to get flagged on Google Merchant Center. You're not going to show up because you cannot have overlay text within an image. So I was like, okay, I thought everything was going to be good. This client was just on, national television. So why is the return on ad spend down? But product status breakdown will show you, okay, this is the product name that you might need to check. In the last 30 days, return on ad spend has slipped. Lo and behold, I look at it, check all the Merchant Center, and all of maybe 6 of their biggest products that they sell all had that same, overlay with text, ineligible, overlay with text, ineligible. So, okay, well, you're not going to show up if that's the case. So I'll go through Google Merchant Center, just have it on the next image where it's just the image and no text. So yeah, I think product status breakdown is another good one. Do you have any stories or any utilizations for clients for any, product status breakdown for the scorecard? Like any stories on that?
So I'm not in an ecom account right now, so it's grayed out in this one, which is so annoying. I know I'm trying to find an ecom account, but I haven't got one ready. But for product, yeah, similar stuff. And the PMax one was pretty revolutionary when it came out. We trying to figure out how much money is going to certain channels in PMax. It's not very clear in Google Ads, but you can find it over the API. So we grab that data. Yeah, to be honest, you're probably more well versed with the product stuff than me, Gene. I'm like lead gen is like my go-to.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Let me share my screen then, since I have it pulled up. So it's just right underneath. You could see the performance, or here's a search term alignment. As you go down, you could see all the way down. Then you start to look at the product performance, and you could even look at the score history. Yeah, it's 100 just because, I've only had this version for the last couple months. But the longer that you have Opteo, you'll kind of see a more full picture of how the product performance is. And that's one thing I think for e-commerce people is we hate going into Merchant Center just because it's not part of the Google Ads interface itself. You have to log in, you have to do all those things, but this will help you understand the reason or, the severity of you needing to go into the Merchant Center, because then you can click campaign breakdown. And if you remember, you can go into like any Performance Max campaign or shopping campaign. On the left-hand tab, you'll see products, and it'll have all the products that you're advertising. And you could see this is a top product. Why is the ROAS dipped? Or, okay, this is a good conversion value, or this is a good return on ad spend. Maybe we lump these in a different campaign and really focus on these top sellers. Or maybe we have a May top seller, or, fall, spring tops. There's just so many things that you could do with segmenting when it comes to product and e-commerce. And Opteo just really helps utilize all this, and kind of keeps you aware of your Google Merchant Center health without actually having you go into Google Merchant Center, because we all hate that. So yeah, that's kind of my spiel for that.
That's really good.
I love it.
Yeah,
love hearing like real life stories of how people use the product. It's cool.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing here. Even though people are gonna be like, oh, why is this whole episode Opteo? It's not about Opteo. It's really about us trying to help you as the listener, people in digesting our content, of just an option of how to do things a little bit more smoother, a little bit with more intention, more directive. Just because if you don't have direction within a Google Ads campaign, it's so easy to get overwhelmed. You're just gonna, listen to a bunch of podcasts, and then you're like, okay, over here, shiny object syndrome when it comes to, Google Ads PPC Manager. So this helps you stay focused through and through. But yeah, I think that was, do you have any other things that you want to show, or Ryan, you want to chime in with the technical deep dive before we move on to the future of Opteo?
Yeah, I mean, I'm keen to see, before we jump into that, about n-grams. I think that's a big part of Opteo, if not one of the biggest parts of Opteo, as well as if we can touch on the AI integration that Opteo has, because that's something that's new, in my opinion, or newish. But then on V2, that's coming out soon, I think it's going to play more of a role, but I've got to be careful on what I say. I don't want to get a slapped wrist, so I'm going to let Shaquira get in trouble for what she can say. But yeah, just things like that would be cool to see. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I wanted to touch on Ngram Finder, one of our like flagship features. It's our negative keyword tool. I mean, for anyone unfamiliar with Ngram analysis, I know I definitely was, kind of still am, but I'm trying to channel what I remember being taught. I mean, it's just a methodology to break down your search term data. There's mountains of search term data. It's unrealistic, unreasonable to expect someone to go through the search terms, every search query every day, or regularly. So it's just an efficient way of breaking it down into individual words, small phrases, so you can spot patterns in it and kind of find the root of the problem. Nice, here we go. Yeah, so you can, the classic example is the word free, right? You might have free cinema tickets, how to get free tickets to the cinema, free movies. And lo and behold, all of those search queries do not convert because those people are not spending money with you. But, the root of that really is the word free. So add free as a negative keyword, block it all out in one fell swoop, and you've recovered a lot of money that was being wasted on these empty clicks, essentially. So that's, the premise. That analysis takes forever. It's quite long. It's quite intense. As you see, Ryan's loaded it up in a second. We've already done it in this account. We've done it for search. We can do it for PMAX, do it for shopping, anywhere where there's search terms and keywords. And yeah, you can essentially get an organized list of your worst words in a nutshell. This is like, I think, in the millions overall for our users. This has recovered spend. Like, this has been a huge huge hitter for recovering wasted ad spend, which, we're pleased to see. We're building features that actually do what we're setting out to do.
And
Yeah,
that's,
I go ahead.
I'll let
Go
you
ahead,
go.
Ryan.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
take it. I think it's one of those things that back in the day, you'd be downloading CSVs left, right, and center, trying to figure out, okay, how many times is this search term popping up? Is it an engram? Is it something that I need to take a look at? It was just so messy in the way that you would analyze this data historically. But again, just here comes Opteo with a simple click of a button. You've got all these engrams like listed in front of you, and not just that, but you can see here, okay, how impactful are they in terms of like a negative thing, and in terms of how much can you potentially save. That was a huge thing I saw the other day, is like, this is how much the expenditure is, and this is potentially how much you can save. Now, if it's your core keyword or something that you do as the client does, or whatever it might be the product is, and you're probably not going to exclude that. But like Shaquira just showed there, like free, I see in some of my search terms report things like DIY. And I think the best thing about engrams is the fact that it just gives you that monthly potential savings there as well, where you can go through and take a look at the different search terms for each keyword. I just think that's so beneficial, because I was in there the other day for a client, and some of the keywords that we found, some of the searches that were coming up, I mean, I must have saved a lot. So that was really, really beneficial to just, it's just such a breeze just going through and identifying, here's like 5 or 10 or 20 different searches that just don't make sense for us to bid on or show up for anymore. So just add them, exclude them add them as negatives, exclude them, and you're good to go. So I just think that's one of the best things about this ngram finder, because like I said before, you were using CSV files, cross-referencing. Oh, it was such a headache. And I remember doing it back in the day, and I hated it. So now that we've got something where it's like so clearly laid out and displayed really beautifully, I think is amazing.
Yeah, what I like about the engram, and then we could move on, or if Shakir has anything else to say about the engram, but is the performance max. Okay, like we all know, if you have time to upload a script, that's great. You're proficient in Google Sheets, whatever it may be, but I'm not. So I just want it all laid out here. And this has been a gripe for a lot of people in the community: is how do we look at the search terms in Performance Max, and what value does it bring to a specific account? Like, what am I going to tell my client? What am I tell my boss? We're running all these Performance Max campaigns, but what's the actual breakdown without having to install a script? And it's all right here. As you could see, the Performance Max section is loaded. You could see entirely, the conversion value, the impressions, potential savings, and the score. You could see if it's actually working or not. Or, for e-commerce, a lot of us really, tend to just run one catch-all Performance Max campaign, the lazy man build, as I would call it. Maybe it's feed only, or maybe it's just Performance Max. You're not segmenting any of the products. If you have that, this might be a perfect tool for you, just because you'll start to understand if there's search terms with green, that means that product is doing well. If there's search terms with red, maybe you need to go away from a catch-all Performance Max campaign and start to break down more of the best sellers and segment in that way. So that's how I like to use the engram when it comes to Performance Max. And you could also see on the screen, if you click it and then you could view the search terms, you'll see if you were to create a broad negative, what that would all take out. So I like to go and see, okay, are there any green here? If there is, maybe I need to go a little bit more specific and less broad, maybe 2 words, 3 words. So I think it's just really important for us to find transparency when it comes to our Performance Max catch-all campaigns. Shakira, any thoughts on that, or things to wrap up on Ngram?
Yeah. I mean, for the ngram for PMax has been so good, because it was only recently that Google have given us PMax search term data. I was talking to Ryan the other day, and this feature used to be a lot slower than it is because Google made it really, 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 really hard to get search term data over the API. It's almost like they didn't want us to have it for some reason. But we got it, we persisted, and you'll notice that it's missing a crucial column, which is cost. You'd expect to see that when you're doing search terms. Still don't get cost data for PMax, which is a real shame. But we've done our best with the potential savings column, We are, doing some clever stuff that I can't quite remember how the devs did it, but we're trying to get, as close to an estimate of how much you spent on this search term, just to give advertisers something, because they are hungry for more data for PMAX, and we've tried to give more transparency and control back to advertisers. It's hard out there for PMAX and for ecom and for everyone. So yeah, doing our bit.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. So moving on, Ryan, do you have anything else to add here? If not, we can move to future.
I think we should look at the future of Opteo and where you guys are taking it, because I know that you have obviously showed me early glimpses, if I'm allowed to say, I don't know, of the new platform and things like that. It looks incredible, I might add. But one of the things that we talked about was AI, and obviously a lot of people, I think, naturally when ChatGPT, when Google, I want to say Claude, was it Google Claude? I'm not sure. I don't use it really. I could be wrong. Gemini, thank you. Yeah, I don't know which one Claude is then. I don't know. There's so many different ones, so I get confused. But I think everyone is like asking ChatGPT and these AI assistants, what can I do to better my campaigns? Like, can you analyze this data and give me 3 recommendations or whatever it might be? And it's just the next phase, I think, for account managers to work with AI to really understand how can we better our campaigns and accounts and things like that. So I think something I really wanted to ask Shaquira was, what AI looks like in the future with Opteo, and also just generally, we talked before about maybe opening up a little bit more into other platforms and things like that, and if there's anything else coming after Google Ads. So all the questions all at once, because I'm really eager to know.
Of course, yeah. I mean, for AI, it's been a bit of a, I'd say a rat race in tech in particular. Like, you got to have AI. That's like the thing. And I have been using it more and more in my personal and professional life. It's very good. I really rate it as a thing. And we've tried to approach it in a measured way. It's like not jamming AI into the app, but calling it a day, sticking co-pilots where they shouldn't be stuck. It's a lot more thought. It's going to be a lot more thoughtful. Anytime you're looking at masses of data in Opteo, big campaign tables, and you are again at that roadblock of thinking, oh, I've got so much to do and I don't know where to start. That's when an AI button, I think, comes in handy, and that'll be there. Analyze with AI, get summaries. What am I looking at? Just give me the quick summary, and then using AI to go one step further, which is, I think, kickstarting solutions. So, for example, a new feature in Opteo will be issues, things that are broken, kind of critical things, disapproved ads, payment card expired, stuff like that. And again, if you're a beginner or a junior, or you just don't have time to ask your boss every little thing, if you get a disapproved headline, click a button, how do I fix this? It's going to be like, cool, this is why it's disapproved, and here's some ideas about how to fix it. It's going to give you ad copy suggestions in that example. And there suddenly you've gone from there's a problem to, oh, I know exactly what to do. I know how to fix this. And you go talk to whoever you need to talk to get it implemented. So much quicker to tidy things up. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. And then who knows from there, one side of the coin that we really want to develop more into is account expansion. Again, I spoke to Ryan a little bit about our dreams for not just optimizing, not just saving money, not just, great if you save money, but what do you then do with it? Especially if you're under pressure from clients or your boss to spend. You get a marketing budget, people want to spend it. So using AI to figure out gaps in accounts, potential places where you could build, ad groups, looking at industry data, these people are running ads like, ad groups like based on this topic, you're not. Is that a gap? You should explore it. So yeah, it's an exciting space, I think.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I know when we were talking the other day that it just sounded like the future's definitely bright, and what we've already released is going to be even better for V2, and then who knows in the next few years as well when there's V3 and things like that, and it's just layer upon layer, just constantly improving the last version. But you showed me some really nifty things that AI is going to be doing, and I'm super pumped. I'm really excited because I think that is logically the next step is to, and this is also the other thing before I forget is that when you log into Google Ads, you might see like policy issues. You may see like this headline is not approved, or whatever it might be. And a lot of the times, Google's not going to tell you why it's been disapproved. And you're just left scratching your head and banging your head against the wall because I don't know how to fix this. There's some really serious ones that can potentially jeopardize your Google Ads account, both also Google Ads as well as Merchant Center. I know I've had a few misrepresentation issues in Merchant Center. Obviously, I'm just shouting those out. I don't know whether or not Opteo can look at those, but these are the types of policies where if you've got someone who can come in like AI and say, right, this is what you're seeing in Google Ads, these are some potential fixes. It makes that process so much quicker, because sometimes advertisers can lose 2 or 3 days, trying to figure out how to fix something. If you've got AI that's built in saying this is the issue, this is the way around the fix, you could have it done the same day and move on. So really, really cool.
100%.
Yeah.
Now imagine that for Meta and LinkedIn and Microsoft, because
that's the dream.
It's all coming. It's all coming.
There you go. You heard it here first.
I almost think about like how my journey would look like if I had Opteo when I first started Google Ads. Because the way I was doing it is like, okay, it's so wild that there's software now to help facilitate beginner, user-friendly interfaces. Me and Ryan didn't have that. We're old heads. We were going through when it was still Google AdWords, and we're loading everything up, putting everything in a CSV, and we just want to make sure that for any listener out there, this is something that could really expedite your learning in Google Ads. And as we mentioned, the theme is the not only wasted spend but wasted time. I think this just really helps facilitate better optimization through and through. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Good point. Is there any other sort of like upcoming features you can dish the dirt on the episode?
There's a ton. I can certainly say it out loud. I don't know about showing it, but I can say it. There's a ton. We're really getting, optimization is always going to be our core focus, and really taking you to the solution. But at the same time, it's important that you have a lot of tools at your disposal. We've got a ton of management tools coming, like a really nice standardized dashboard across Google, Microsoft, Meta, and LinkedIn. So imagine 4 tabs that you would have open potentially if you happen to manage all 4. Suddenly everything looks the same, exactly where everything is. And if you need to change a budget in one place, you can change it in the next place in a couple of clicks. So a really, really nice control center for multi-platform is coming. And for Google, that would be really nice, because we're going to put those sneaky settings front and center. You got your broad match, your search partners, locations, everything's just going to be right there, on or off. And it's going to be hard not to miss a spot, I think, when you're managing and optimizing.
That's really cool. I'm worried for you guys, though. I hope you don't get the lawsuit coming from Google, because if you're lifting the lid on all the sneaky settings, then they might come out and be like, well, we're not happy with this. Are you ever guys like worried about that, or is that a concern?
I don't think so. We say they're sneaky because it feels sneaky. They're very tucked away, but you can find them and they are there. So I think there's like a balance to be had. But no, like I said, I think, as long as we can make accounts more efficient, then, that keeps the lights on here. And if Google can keep hiding some settings, that keeps the lights on there. So it's a balancing act.
So I think the takeaway right now is that if you ever have been considering, taking a look at Opteo, if you're on the fence, now is a good time to really jump on and take a look. We've got some really amazing features coming out. It seems like it's going to be a bit of a revamp. So if you have ever been on the fence, now's a good time to sign up and take a look. Gene, did you want to touch on anything before we sign off, or are you happy with everything? Any final thoughts from you?
The thing with this is just so much too. We're barely scratching the surface, and I think that's why we've partnered with Opteo. It's just because it really helps us, but to put it all in a concise manner in less than an hour is a difficult task for anybody. So, but yeah, no, I think this is great. Shaquira, thank you again. But yeah, this was amazing.
And like, how can people get started with Opteo? Like, if you're thinking about it, if you've watched this full episode all the way to the end, which we appreciate, thank you very much. How can people go away now and say, right, well, let's give it a go? 14-day trial. Obviously, if you have listened to this, you'll know that you get an extended trial, which we'll touch on in a second. But how can they start with Opteo?
Yeah. I mean, if you go to the special link, ideally opteo.com/ppc cave, we're obviously giving your listeners a special double length trial. And yeah, you can get started there. Sign up for the plan you need, based on how many accounts you manage, how much they spend. Pick the plan you need, and it's, I would say, pretty plug and play. Plug in your Google Ads account, and from day one, from minute one, we'll start looking for optimizations, and you can get stuck in with all of the features we've kind of covered today: scorecard, Ngram Finder, alerts, plus the others, reports, budget management. Missing some probably, but yeah, that's where you can get started.
That's really good. So you heard it here first, like the PPC Cave. So opteo.com, opteo.com/the PPC Cave for a 28-day, so double the normal trial, 28-day free trial from Opteo and from the PPC Cave. Do you have much of a social following, or where can people find you if they want to reach out to you with any Opteo questions or any updates or anything?
Yep. So my LinkedIn, I believe, is just /Shaquira with a QU, not a K, like the singer. But yeah, I'm a bit more active on LinkedIn these days, so you'll find me over there, hopefully sharing some bits and pieces. And if you are curious about the new app that we keep banging on about, then that will be the place to hear it first.
That's really cool. Gene, what about you? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you could find me at tempest59.com.
For all your Google Ads needs, that's audits, consultations, and management. And the same for me. You can find me at ryanfentonppc.co.uk for audits, consultations, Google Ads management. People argue that I do it just slightly better than Gene, but the cat's out on that one, so we'll see. But we release content every week on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, of course. I think we're still on Apple Podcasts. Are we still on Apple Podcasts? I like to check in every week, just make sure we are, because I don't really listen to that. I'm more of a Spotify kind of guy. But if you are interested in listening to us or subscribing, we appreciate that. So just give us a like, follow on the PPC Cave. And if there's nothing else, we'll speak to you all next time.